Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are. We are live on this June the 16th of 2023. I am back in the Orange Room after spending a very festive week out of Wildwood Guitars in Louisville, Colorado, where I got to manhandle a bounty of sweet stringed delights. So many guitars they have there, which are tempting strumpets. And back in Wauwatosa land, we're playing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this very evening, playing tonight in Wauwatosa at Hart Park for a thing they're called Heartfest, which is a festive gathering of souls. I think I'm going to share this with some special friends. I'm going to share this stream with special friends where the fun never ends. Special friends. Hear my song? It was called Special Friends. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to go over here. And, hey, how was Greenie down at Wildwood? Asked Pete Maniac. Well, I enjoyed it immensely. I have to say, as soon as I plugged it in, I was like, oh, this one's different. I said, fellas, this one is different. It's filling my soul with some magical juices. And, yeah, it's nice. Is it $75,000 nice? That's a bit of a stretch, but be that as it may. Cheap for a man of such monetary might as your goods. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to say that, 75 grand is just a drop in the bucket? 75 G's. 75 G's. We're talking about that Peter Green / Gary Moore / Kurt Hammett Greenie Les Paul. They did 50 of them, I believe, with Brazilian rosewood. They sold through, so Wildwood has a used one, and the price is already, I can't remember what they originally were going for, maybe 25, maybe-ish? And now they're up to 75 thousand. And that's crazy. Am I right or am I right? I mean, people got the loot, man. They got the loot. They also have I remember in 2013 when the Dwayne Allman guitars came out, I can't remember what they were going for then, but probably, 5, 6 G's, maybe. Now that one's sold, I think, for 16. And I specifically remember when the Joe Walsh guitars were around, because I did a little Les Paul shootout that I think Wildwood put on their YouTube channel, and I went through all the different guitars, and I ended up thinking that I really liked the Joe Walsh. And then I think my price would have been somewhere around $6,000. That's now selling. Those guitars are now selling. There's a used one there at Wildwood, which I think is a signed one, but $25,000. I don't know about you, but that's a whole lot of cash. Am I right or am I right? Do-dam. So I'm just going to do a little tickling today, a little answering some questions and playing through today. I'm still going through the little Cat 5. Tonight at the show, I'll have my dual Koch amplifiers. I blew a speaker in one of them after many prolonged road trips. One of the Jensen Jets just said, I can't take it no more. So I replaced it with something that hopefully will sound good. So I just picked that up today from my buddy John Blick, amp repairsman. And but I'm just kind of rocking. I'm just going into this amp. I've got a little, if we go down to here to, oh no, that's that one. Actually, I'm just going through this little pedal. This is the new cool Fishman complement of acoustic pedals that came out, which I went through, I think Monday before last, and I'll maybe go through again this Monday. But for tonight, I'm just going through this Jam Pedals Delay Llama, which is going through the effects loop of this particular amp over here, which is something I got at the Dallas Guitar Show just for the hell of it. My buddy Don Ritter from Cat 5 made me an offer I couldn't understand. So, because I used it for that jam I did with Derek St. Holmes, and I just plugged straight into it with one of my Gristle Masters. And man, it sounded good. And it is a powerful and stately beast. And I'm going through the lead channel right now, and I just got that jam pedal going through the effects loop, but it sounds succulent. Robert Davis asks, hey Greg, watched your demo on a Fender Supersonic 60 like 16 years ago. I need to do all... I think what you're asking was that amp good? I did love that amp quite a bit. And for a while, there's a record I did, I still call them records, called Greg Koch and Other Bad Men, live on the radio. And the reason why I said Other Bad Men is because a buddy of mine was at my buddy Tim Yarning, actually, who makes the Gristle King. He was out at NAMM hanging out, and I was playing in the Fender booth. And on one particular thing, it was me and Reggie Hamilton on bass, who's one of my favorite human beings and bass musicians of all time. And what the? Yeah, that's not going to work. Unpleasant how that all turned out. They want us to, I got a gig tonight, we don't start until 8, and they're like, hey, we want you there before the opening band. That's not going to happen. Which starts at 5:30. I'm going to be here until 5, folks. Anyway, so getting back to my story. So I was playing with Reggie Hamilton, myself, and Johnny Calarco, I believe, on drums, and Warren Haynes was in the room with somebody else. And as we were playing, he turned to the guy next to him and he said, these are some bad effing men. And I thought, and my buddy Tim Yarning heard that, and he said, Warren Haynes was here checking you out, and he said, those are some bad effing men. So that's why I named it Greg Koch and Other Bad Men. And on that particular record, which had, we did a lot of covers because that's just when me and Malford started working together with Roscoe Beck on bass and Tom Brecklin on drums, Johnny Clarko on drums, Brandon Temple is on a few tunes. I was using a Fender Supersonic 60-watt combo, single 12, and then I would go out of that into a 212 extension cabinet, the Fender Supersonic extension cabinet. So I had three 12s going. And boy, that amp sounds good. That's, I've had people contact me that that's their favorite sound that I ever got. I was just using a stock Fender American Deluxe Tele with the noiseless pickups into that amp, and that was pretty much it back in the day. I think at one point I used a couple things like a Univibe, maybe a wah, but and a fuzz. I did use that BSM fuzz on quite a few things on that record. And yeah, so anyway, that's what the Supersonic I was all for. But at some point, I don't know. It just started. I think they came out with another amp I started using, which was it was the one with the built-in chorus and delay on it, but it was a tube head with chorus and delay, and you could make the chorus sound like a vibratone. And then I put a little slapback on there, so I used that amp for a hot minute. And then when I would go back to the studio with my Supersonic combo with the 212 bottom, it didn't sound as good as it did at the other place. So it just, it is. It's like you're playing one thing for a while, it sounded great, and then it's like, oh, what do we got now? The VM, thank you. The VM, that's what I was talking about, the one with the built-in effects. It was actually kind of a cool amp. But since then, I've been, I'd go over and do things in Europa or something, and they would have a Supersonic combo for me to play. And in a lot of ways, what the Supersonic did is what I ended up doing with Koch, because one of the things that you can do on the Supersonics is that it's got a, an effects loop on it that you can foot switch on the foot switch. So you've got, the one channel, the clean channel, it's either voiced as a Vibrolux or voiced as a Tweed Bassman. So that's a cool little switch right then and there, which is kind of not dissimilar to when the Koch amps, you have your one volume for the clean, for your clean sound, for your rhythm sound, and then another sound for or another boost for your lead on both channels. You get two different levels. But on the supersonic, that clean channel is either kind of like a bright and jangly Vibrolux or kind of a more mid, beefy, prone to break up a little sooner Bassman on that first channel. And then the second channel is more of kind of an overdrivey type of thing. And then what you could do, what I found out, is you just take a little patch cord and you go from the send and the return in the back and then boost the level a little bit back there so that when you hit the effects loop button on the foot switch, you actually get a little boost. So I would have, your clean sound with boost, lead sound with boost, and that's kind of what ended up being my brainchild behind all the different gain stages on the Koch amp. Does that make sense? Oh yeah. rendition of our Friendly Neighborhood Hideaway by Fred King. Friedrich King. Jim Roberts says, I see that you are coming back to Knoxville. See you at the Open Chord. We certainly are. We are also going on a prolonged tour of the Pacific Northwest that's coming up in about 10 days. All the dates are on the website right now, gregkoch.com. I'm also doing a Guitar Workshops Plus event, which people can sign up for if you live in Seattle. I'm doing the Seattle version. I'm doing Andy Wood's Woodshed Guitar Experience again in August, which is a couple days after our gig at the Open Chord in beautiful Knoxville. We also have a Nashville gig a couple days before that, I believe, at the City Winery, maybe? Is that correct? I think so. Yeah, so there you have it. Can you dig in? Of course. Aaron, thank you. He says, the new CDs have not left my car stereo. Keep up with the greatness. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you dig those two new CDs. The first one is called Orange Ruminations, and the other one is called Sweet Gristle. And hey, Dylan, we gotta be down at that place. I think we got to be there before that. Steve Hamilton has texted me that they wanted us to be set up before the opening band, which is at 5:30. So yeah, maybe you just want to grab your stuff and load up the van and go down there. I don't know. All right, if you want to do that, maybe that'll work. Bought the Wildwood 1960 Les Paul. You did a demo on this week, arriving on Monday. Thanks so much, Bob. Well, Bob, congratulations on a glorious instrument. Dave Wren asked, Greg, are any of your albums available on vinyl? Well, that's a good question. One of our records, Toby Arrives, was available on vinyl, although I don't think any of the vinyl is left, if I'm not mistaken. Check the website. I think I don't know if Chris still has some or not. Yeah, the Toby Arrives song, a little shuffle as well. Oh. Can you dig it? Sometimes I like to boogie. Sometimes I like to boogie. Sometimes I like to boog. Sometimes I like to boogie and boogie-la-doo. I did ask I did press the little button here on my pickups here. I don't know if you can see it up close here, but let's see what I got. And that little button right there, my Fishman Fluence pickup. Gives me a little extra boost. Do-do-do-do. Can you dig it? Woo! Yeah. Hit that button just right. What's that boost button? Do I have a nickname for the boost button? No, I just call it the, well, it's just, technically it engages the second voice of the pickups. But that little button right there. But I just call it, John says, I can't hear the bass. That's funny. That is funny because we hear that every time. I can't hear the bass. Like, well, if you're listening on your phone, you're going to hear any bass when we have Matt here. Highway Star. Ooh. Can you dig it? Folks, little talk, too much cowbell, right? It's the more button. Thank you, Lee. That's exactly right. Oh, yeah, exactly. Can't hear the bass or the drums. Interesting, I'm always messing around with new Cat 5 amp. Yeah. Hey, Michael Burrell, what's going on, Daddy-O? You asked if I'm going to Toby's party tomorrow. One never knows. There may be Gristle presence at the Great Shindig. He's coming down here tonight for our great show. And we shall see what's going down. Is it a series switch? No, it literally changes the voicing. So there's a preamp inside. And when I hit that button, it actually switches to another voicing of pickups, which we were able to do with the technology that Fishman utilizes to make the Fishman Fluence pickups. And, of course, this is my signature set, which is called the Gristletone. Fishman Fluence Gristletone pickups for T-style guitars. Of course, I have the other set, too, which is the P90s. The Gristletone P90s. Oh, can you dig it? Oh, will you dig it? Hello from France. Greetings, France. Anyway, someone was asking about the amp. I did get this amp down at the Dallas Guitar Show for the fun of it. And it's basically like a souped-up Fender Hot Rod DeVille, but it's Don Ritter's version, Cat 5. And so it's a hand-wired Bassman with reverb on one channel. And then the second channel is like a hand-wired JCM 800 with a boost. And there's reverb. And it's got two 10s and a 12. And it's a good sounding amp. Of course, when I tour, I bring my Koch amps. But, it's fun just to play with some different amps every now and again. Doesn't mean that I'm, the Koch amp is my thing. That's the Bassman channel. It sounds pretty damn good. I barely got it on. That's the Bassman on like 2. Squishy, 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 and so delicious. And again, that's on the bass one only at about 2. And then here's the overdrive sound. And then if I hit the boost for that channel, it sounds like this. Yes. That's Jeff's Boogie, which is taken from, there's a version of a guitar boogie that Chuck Berry did back in the day. But when Jeff was in the Yardbirds, he did Jeff's Boogie. And then when he was in the Jeff Beck group, there are some great bootlegs of him doing that tune. He throws in glorious little crazy things. Can you dig it? A little bit of that Jeffrey Beckery. You know, at one point he was he always was a rock and roll warrior of the night. Yeah. Hey, Greg, got into playing some of the Colonel Bruce Hampton Crash Unit from your podcast. What was that player say? That was Jimmy Herring, the mighty Jimmy Herring. Yeah, those two records especially. Mirrors of Embarrassment and the live record, which is just called, I think just the Aquarium Rescue Unit. Can you dig it? Another one with it. The first couple Jeff Beck group records were freaking awesome. Am I right or am I right? They were filled with power. Sweet power of rock. It's good for your soul. So if you haven't checked out Jeff Beck Truth or Beckola, you need to get them. Oh, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff, that Jeffrey Beckery. The Shapes of Thing on there is killing. All those tunes on there. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you live in southeastern Wisconsin, we're actually playing tonight. Toby Lee Marshall's coming down from Minneapolis. Dylan and myself and Topster will be playing down at the Tosa Rotary Pavilion Performance Stage. Can you dig it? And that's all there is to it. We're playing there at 8 o'clock, and it's going to rock. And we're going to rock like pagan warlords of both night and day is what's going to happen. That song is called Water Down the Drain. Plinth. Da, da, da. Put that down. Da, da, da. That's a good one. That's good for your soul as well. Slim Jim is calling. Jeffrey Beckery version of you know you should. What Jeff Beck Jeff Beck record? Yeah, Beckel and Truth are fantastic. For the first two Jeff Beck records, they were fantastical. Filled with glorious gristle. Yeah, good stuff. Jeffrey Beckery. Bless his heart, Jeffrey Beckery, bless his heart. Well, folks, I'm going to hit the road a little early today only because I've become aware of the fact that I need to get my stuff down to Jam-a-Lamaville and engage in sweet, sweet songs. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm using my signature Reverend with my signature Fishman Fluence Gristle tone. Pickups for Telecaster, ho, and playing some random old school Jeff Beckery for the kids. There's also a good live record that they put on iTunes anyway. It's Beck from 1968. I think at the Fillmore West. There's like maybe 4 tunes. They do You Shook Me right into Let Me Love You Baby, and then there's a great version of Jeff's Boogie on there. Also Morning Dew is on there. And I think a version of Blues Deluxe. So check those out. Old school Jeffrey Beckery with the Les Paul. Into the Marshalls with a little bit of a fuzzy face. Can you dig it? Will you dig it? All right, you crazy kids.